So for this tutorial, I'm going to do a hoodie. We didn't do a hoodie yet or anything close to a jacket. Got some reference. I chose out these two references. This is a regular hoodie. This one has a different kind of stitch in it. So this is why I chose this one. It's not a normal stitch that's going around the shoulders. It's going up through the collarbone area. So I figured why not do this one. It's a little different. To start, like normal, I'm just going to draw out one of the sides of the hoodie. This will be the right side. So after I draw out the pattern, I'm going to create a fabric. I just want to create a fabric always just so it's a different color than the white, so it stands apart from the avatar like I always do. So I'll just select the color. This will be the front left side of his hoodie. So I'm just going to place it about here. Copy it and symmetry paste it for the other side. Now I'm going to create the arm. Normally I create the front of the shirt or the outfit and then the back, and then I do the arms afterwards. But since it has a stitch in the collarbone and the back area, and it's not going through the trap area, I need to have the arm on there also. So I'm going to create the arm now. I'm just winging it by the size of everything. I just know where I want the stitches, so it makes it a little bit easier. I'm going to add verts in the middle here, and I'll adjust the spot afterwards. This is basically where the sleeve would go, and then this will be the top area. Instead of counting it out, I'm going to snap it to the grid. So I'm going to just turn it on and just snap it on. So after I use the snap, I'm going to turn it off. It's a hoodie, so it could be a little bit larger. This looks a lot larger right now, so let me just adjust it. I'm going to curve this angle just because the reference has a little curve into it. It's not perfectly straight. So now I'm just going to place this on the arm. It's a little long, so I'm just going to adjust it. It's a little wide. And that could be the sleeve. So for the front, I'm going to add a vertex right in the middle at the top. I'm going to pull this down. This is where the sleeve is going to go in. This will basically be the top of the sleeve. So this will go into probably this dot, and this will be going on the trap. So this stitches into here. This will stitch into here. So I'm going to turn on the arrangement points, place it on, turn off the arrangement points. I really only need it for the arm sleeve. I'm going to make another little piece here just for the zipper. I'm going to put the white fabric on this one actually, just so I could see it a little better. I'm going to copy this and paste it on the other side. Symmetry paste it. I'm going to stitch these in. And I need the back of the shirt. Let me put the sleeve underneath. And let me do the back. So I'll copy this and mirror paste it. Let me turn on arrangement points. I could just slap it on the back easier. And turn off the arrangement points. Move this over. I'm going to delete this mark. And the shirt will come over and then it'll go up. The hoodie will go up. So I'm going to copy this right now and I'm going to mirror paste it. I'm going to place it right there. So I'm going to select this line because I want this one piece instead of have a seam down the middle. I'm going to unfold. Basically what that does is it combines it together. So now I have this extra piece here, but I also have the back completely stitched together. So that creates one piece. And I can delete this. And I'm going to stitch the back sleeve in. And I'm going to mirror the arm over. Copy and then symmetry paste it. Now stitch everything in. So before I do anything, I always save it. So I'm going to go to File and Save. I'm going to save it as Hoodie 01 Base, and then just save it. After it's saved, now I'm going to sim it on. Hopefully it goes on correctly. There we go. For a hoodie, it's pretty tight, and I could adjust that easily, but at least I have the basic idea in there now. The zipper should be a little bit thinner. There we go. And I want to make the hoodie a little bit thicker on him. So I'm going to make the back a little bit wider. I'm going to make the front wider too. I want the hoodie to have a different kind of fabric on it so it doesn't feel so soft. So I'm going to put on leather. And let me select everything and change the particle distance down to 13 and the rendering thickness to 2 and 2. Actually, I'm going to change the rendering thickness down to 4 and 4 because it's a hoodie. It should be a little thicker. And put on the double-sided, the thickness rendering. So right now it's pretty tight on them. Let me look at the tension view. Yeah, let me make it a lot looser. As I make more and more garments, I'm not using the measuring tools as much, just because for game development it's not as important to be precise. But you could use them if you prefer. It's going to make it look better. So okay, now I'm going to go back to thickness rendering, and it's really loose on him. So up here, there's a lot of area where the shirt is getting stitched into something too small. So I'm going to select this and just check it out really quick, these areas. So this is getting stitched into here. So this is at 270. This is at 340. So I'm going to make this a lot smaller. And then I'm going to do the same for the back. So this is at 260. This is at 321. So now that's about a little bit more accurate. This back is really wide, so I'm going to move this over. So for the front, I don't like this being just completely straight. So I'm just going to adjust that now. So next thing I want to do, I'm going to adjust this a little bit more later, but I want to add the trim on basically where we get the elastic that will pull in the hoodie on the sleeves and on the lower portion of the hoodie. So what I'm going to do is just draw that out now. And after I drew it out, I'm just going to copy this over and paste it for the other areas. So let me just stitch everything in. So everything is stitched in. And use the arrangement points for the arm. And let me delete this and then paste it so it gets it over there a little bit easier. Let me adjust some of these positions, the offset. Shift Q to hide that. I'm going to move this over now. Basically making this like a wristband. And what's on there approximately, I'm going to copy and mirror paste it. I'm going to stitch it in now. And just make sure all this other stuff lines up approximately. Before I do anything, I'm going to save. I'm going to unhide everything. Shift W and then space. Pull up the sleeve just so I can see this, make sure it went on there correctly. So you can definitely tell the sleeves are way too baggy. So I'm going to adjust that, make them a little bit thinner. I want to make this hole a little bit tighter on him. So to do that, I gotta adjust a few of the proportions. So I just adjusted so it fits his neck a little bit better. So another little detail I could do, I'm gonna remove this stitch on the zipper. I'm gonna use free stitch. So I don't want the zipper to go up all the way. So let's just say it goes up that far. And then there we go. So it just feels like the zipper doesn't go up all the way. Makes it a little different. I'm actually gonna add another vertex right here. And just pull that down. The zipper doesn't normally go up all the way also. So I'm gonna pull this down. Delete these stitches. I'm going to free stitch this in. Just give it a little bit of detail. What I forgot is this elastic on the bottom would actually go down to the zipper. So I'm going to make the zipper a little bit longer and re-stitch it in. Let me actually add a detail. The zipper doesn't always go to the bottom. There's a little bit of leeway on the bottom. So I'm going to delete this one more time. And just free stitch it in. Just a very small minor detail. Let me pull the hoodie up a little bit. Let me make this a little tighter on him. This elastic is not holding it that well. I want to adjust this. This is going up a little too high compared to my reference. It comes down here a little bit more. So let me just play around with this shape. The back I don't have actual reference for, so I'm just going to wing it. I'm going to curve this a little bit. Let me save. I'm going to taper the arms in a little bit. A little bit more. Make it a little bit tighter in the cuffs. All right, next guy. So next, I want to add the hoodie. So kind of how we made the mask, but it's not exactly the same. So I'm just going to draw out the left side of it and just rotate it in somewhat of a place. So whenever I do a hoodie, I try to design the hoodie with it on him first, and then I'll pull it down. It makes it a little bit easier to get scale and believability. I'm just winging this by what I think a hoodie looks like. I had some reference before, but I did these before, so now I'm just going off what I know. You can find reference online if you want to. The hoodie looks a little big, so now I'm just going to scale it. That looks about right. So now I just got to get all the measurements. So for the area to go around here, I just want to know how long it is approximately. So I'm going to select it all. So select those areas first. That's 237, say 240. Plus I'm going to split this in half, 35, so 240. So I'm going to say 275 this has to be. So that's 390. So let's say that's approximately right. Now let's free stitch this in. Let me add a vertex in the middle of the back though, just so it makes it a little bit easier to stitch it in. And now I could copy this and mirror paste it. Actually, let me symmetry paste it. And stitch the top into it. And then do the same thing where I free stitched everything. So before I sim this, I'm going to select it all. I'm going to freeze everything. So that doesn't move. I just want to concentrate on the hoodie. And now I'm going to save. And then sim it on. Let me actually change the particle distance since I never changed it. And the collision. So I just want to adjust this now so it's not so, it fits his head a lot better. Now that it's on him, it's a little bit easier. But just play with it until you're happy with it. I'm happy with it. It's a little thick in some areas, but overall, it's what I want. So next what I'm going to do for this hoodie is I want to add the little trim on here where the string would go in so you can make it tighter or not. So I'm just going to draw that out really quickly. Just draw it out about that size. Get the distance, which is 450. This is approximately right. And then I'm going to copy this and symmetry paste it. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to change the particle distance and all this. Now I'm going to copy and then symmetry paste it. Stitch it in. And to make this easier, like always, freeze this so nothing of that moves, and then just sim it on. And now I can select freeze everything. Actually, let me unfreeze the hoodie first. Unfreeze. I'll save this. So I want the hoodie down. I don't want it up. I already made a mask, so I just want this to feel flat on him. So I'm going to pull it down. Just pull it off like you would do it for anything. So now you just got to play around with it, get it how you want it. So after that, let me unfreeze everything else. So far, there's the hoodie. Let me save it again. And what I'm going to add now are the pockets that would go on the hoodies here. So as I look at the reference, I know how to draw it out. It would go above here. it would stitch in close to the bottom, close to the zipper, and then come out. I'm going to turn off thickness rendering so I could see it better, and move it up. It goes up to about midway. I'm going to add a vertex about there because it has a little bit of leeway for the pocket to actually, so nothing just falls out. And then I'm going to slide this over. This line here doesn't matter at all, just because it's not going to be used for anything, but it's just there for reference. So I'm going to end up turning off the fold rendering. I don't want it to feel like there is a stitch in there. I could adjust it later. So for now, I'm going to sim it. I'm going to move this up. I want to stretch out the pocket. I don't want wrinkles there while I put in the pocket. So I'm just going to use pins right now just to stretch this area out. So now that I can see it, I want it a little bit lower than that. I want it over a little bit more. Overall, it could be a little shorter. Select this internal line by double clicking it, right click it, and copy as pattern, and then I could paste. Basically, it's the pocket that's going to go on top. So I need to make this a little bit bigger so it actually has room. The pocket here, this line that didn't matter on the actual internal line where it stitches in, I'm going to curve it out so it's a soft edge for the pocket. Now I'm going to stitch it in to the internal line that was created before. Change the particle distance and the thickness to match everything else. And now I'm going to copy this and symmetry paste it for the other side and stitch it in. I'm going to turn on thickness rendering. I'm going to select everything and freeze everything but the pockets. I'm going to simulate it, and there we go. I'm going to adjust some of this. And just make it a little bit bigger. Bigger you make it from the size you cut it out, baggier it'll get. I'm going to curve this edge just a tad. I'm going to curve all these edges just slightly. Curve that edge also. After I have it, now I can unfreeze everything else. And I'm going to unpin everything. Those are just in there to help make the pocket a little bit easier. Now that I have the pockets in there and everything with the folds falling, this feels a little bit too baggy. So I'm going to adjust it again. Once you have it on there, it's easy to adjust afterwards. The basic idea is just create the overall shape and form, and then you can play with it afterwards to make it baggier or make it more tightly fit. The overall idea is just to get the design done. So I'm going to make the whole hoodie a little bit shorter. So next I'm going to add in the little strings that hang down. Most likely going to be pointless, but I'll just add it in just because it's a nice little detail to have in here. So I'll just draw it out. I'm going to put on curved geometry for this and put it to 100. Change this down to 10. I'm going to put rendering thickness as 3 and 3. And I'm also going to add a fabric for this, just a little bit color. The reference image has it as a bright orange, so I'm just going to use orange for this. I'm going to copy this, symmetry paste it on the other side. And after I have it on there, I added this little cut here, which I could just stitch on here easily. And let me just slide these down. They feel reversed. I'm going to flip horizontally, and that seems about right. Sim it on. Actually, what I meant to stitch it into this one, not the part here. So let's delete those. Delete sewing and delete sewing. And then stitch this into here. It's just a slightly change of where it went. I'm going to make it a little bit thinner too. I'm just going to play around with the sleeves just to get the folds in the elbow area and not just all bunched up at the bottom. There we go. On the reference image, they have a little tag on the side. These details are not needed, but I'm just going to add the tag. It's easy to do. I have a fabric that stands out, the orange. I'm just going to place it on here. Make it a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to stitch it on to right here. Let me just free stitch it on. There we go. So it's like a little tag on his hoodie. So what I could do next is, Marvelous has in here, to make this feel thicker, feel like a hood, so there's an inside and an outside, you could always copy this. And you could do layer clone. So you could do layer clone over or under, depending what you want. I'm going to go over and move it up and do the same for this. Copy it and layer clone over. So what this does is actually adds an inside and outside. So it basically makes it doubles it up, and it already stitches everything in for you. Whatever this was stitched in, this is stitched in. So when you sim it now, it just feels a little thicker, a little bit bulkier. This is nice to do on some garments, some like padded clothing, to get it to feel really thick. You can play around with it, use it if you want to or not. It's a function that you can find out some decent uses for it. So overall, that's what I would do for the hoodie. What I want to do now is just add some stitch work on this. So for the pocket, I could add in internal lines, or I could stitch an actual trim on it. Either way works. Whichever way you feel like is going to get the best results or the quickest results, it's your choice. So for me, I'm just going to add internal lines because I could just select this. Let me fix this, which I just noticed has an extra vertex. So let me just select all this and add an internal line, offset an internal line, and put it at 8. Turn off rendering thickness so I could actually see it. And do one more, offset an internal line. I want this one's closer, so I'm going to put it at 3. So this one I'll do 360. And the inside I'll do 0, and I'll turn off fold rendering. Put on thickness. So it basically fakes like there's a stitch on there. It's coming out a little too much. So let me change this to 90 and change this to 270. It'll be a little softer. I'm going to select both of these and change the fold strength down to 3 instead of 5. So it just adds a detail on there. I'm going to do the same for the arm areas. So this adds thickness, a little bit of a trim for everything. If you don't want it doubling up on this, because I have it on the arm and on here, you could remove one of them. It's up to you. So if I wanted to, I could get rid of just one of these. So on this seam going down the side, instead of adding internal lines or anything, I'm just going to select this. If I go up here and select it with one of the stitch tools, select this line, you have options here. I can change the fold angle on just this one. So if I turn it down to 0, it'll pull it out like there's a stitch in there. Or if I want, I can push it in like it was stitched inward. So yeah, you can play around with that setting also. But overall, this is what I would do for the hoodie. If you want to add more wrinkles, now is the time where you could just play around with it, push it where you want the wrinkles. If you want more in the arm, you can make the arm sleeves longer. Just make them longer, it'll make it baggier. And you can just pull it up, play around with it. And you can play around with different fabric properties and different kind of settings, just if you want to get different kind of folds on there. Right now I have the leather one set on here, so it's a little thicker, a little heavier. But overall, that's how I would do a hoodie. Go have fun and just detail it out. Thanks everyone. See you next time.